Politics in this Sunday morning. Our guest today, District 5 Congressman Jeb Hensarling, and joining in the questioning, Gromer Jeffers, writing politics for the Dallas Morning News. Thanks again for being with us, Congressman.
Thanks for the invite.
Good to have you on the show. Big week ahead for health care. The president ready to move forward in this speech, we're told now on Wednesday, with no public option perhaps, but yet Speaker Pelosi late in the week saying, no public option, no bill. You must really enjoy sitting back watching what looks like will be a train wreck with the Democrats over this right now.
Well, it's not a matter of enjoyment. I mean, listen, the status quo is unsustainable. We need health care reform. But 80% of Americans like the health care that they have. There's questions about affordability, there's questions about the uninsured, but you don't do a fruit basket turnover, a radical government takeover that ultimately most people have been convinced will ration their health care, that they won't have access to the health care they need when they need it. And so clearly the White House overreached, the Speaker has overreached. I hope the President is now willing to sit down and negotiate something that ultimately will help Americans get the health care that they need when they need it at a price they can afford.
Congressman, are you ready to go back to Washington next week?
Well, the worst day in Texas is better than the best day in Washington. So
okay.
As somebody who works in Washington and lives in Texas, I prefer to be here with the family, but the nation has serious work to be done. So I'm ready to roll up my sleeves and get back to work.
Look, you've had a dozen or so town halls. Other than a public option, what are your constituents, what are the people most concerned about with this health care plan?
Well, one, I think the public option is a bit of a misnomer because I think you end up with public, you don't end up with option. Ultimately, Uncle Sam, when he can use taxpayer subsidies, write the rules, they'll crowd out any kind of private choice. And so people believe that, understand it, that this puts us on the road to the Canadian and UK model that does ration health care, particularly for the elderly. So there's a great concern about that. But in addition, Gromer, people know that this nation is just spending its way into bankruptcy. I mean, it's a matter of time before the Chinese foreclose upon us. I mean, we are borrowing 43 cents on the dollar, mainly from the Chinese, sending the bill to our children and grandchildren, tripling. The President and Congress are tripling the national debt over the next 10 years. First $1 trillion deficit in the nation's history, and all of a sudden somebody says, here's a health care program that's going to cost $1 trillion and not do anything to lower cost. Of course they reject that.
Well, there's going to be a cost some way in some of these plans somehow. There are many Republican bills, we're told, out there, but not a single leadership-pushed, backed bill that says, here are our options. So what kind of things can you try and meet the President or some Democrats on so that something might come out of this? You talk about, yeah, there's a need, but where are the Republicans on this?
Well, number one, there are at least 3 different plans introduced in the House alone by Congressman Ryan of Wisconsin, Congressman Shadegg of Arizona.
But Congressman Burgess last week said there's nothing that the leadership is pushing. It's kind of sit back and watch the Democrats fight this thing out.
Well, I don't think there's any problem with having several options. I mean, we're the party of markets. We're the party of choice. So we want to make sure that we have a few options on the table. But I think the Republican plan all has several different elements to it. Number one, we think it's important that people are empowered to go out in a competitive marketplace, which, by the way, doesn't exist today. But to go out in a competitive marketplace and buy the health care that's right for them and their family. So
if they can get the costs down somehow.
Well, and also, clearly, cost is the big problem. Most people like their health care. It's the affordability and portability. If you allow people on the same tax advantage basis that employers enjoy to buy their health care, you solve the portability problem. With respect to affordability, now part of the affordability is we do have better health care than just about anybody in the world. But we also have a lot of defensive medicine being practiced. We have a great medical liability reform law on the books in the state of Texas. It needs to be rolled out nationwide. I talk to many doctors, they say 1/4 to 1/3 of the medicine they practice, totally needless, but they are afraid of getting sued.
Let me bring you back to Texas. What do you make of the rough and tumble governor's race? Are you endorsing a candidate?
How about those Cowboys?
Ah, okay. All right.
Listen,
nice try at the diversion, but we're not going to let you off the hook that easily. Are you going to endorse somebody?
I expect to endorse somebody. It's not going to be today. But listen, I've known the governor for 20 years. I've known Senator Hutchison for 20 years. I consider them both personal friends. I think they are great leaders for Texas. I'm not anxious to get involved in this. I got a few other things on my plate today. Rick Perry has served as a fantastic governor of Texas. If Senator Hutchinson wins, she'll be a fantastic governor of Texas. And today is not the day I choose to get involved in this internecine battle between two good friends and two great leaders.
What will this race do to the party? You just outlined how they're two great friends, two great leaders. How do you choose?
Well, Gromer, again, it's a good thing to have. I mean, I can still remember a time in my life where the Republican nomination wasn't worth contesting. And so it's a sign of how a party matures and grows that you would have this. That doesn't mean it's fun, but all in all, it's a good sign that people would believe that the nomination is so valuable. And I think it's great for Texans and Republicans obviously to have this kind of choice. But it is uncomfortable. Of course it's uncomfortable.
It's fun for us.
Well, I'm glad y'all have something to cover.
Do you have a problem personally, though, when Governor Perry says, you know, it's Texas versus Washington, and kind of paints everybody in Washington with some kind of brush that you're not really paying attention to Texas and they're all spendthrifts up there?
Well, I don't personally consider attacked. I mean, you look at almost any index in Congress, you'll find me among the 2 or 3 most fiscally conservative members of the entire United States Congress. I'm one of the few who's actually put forth a spending plan that would actually save the taxpayer money and spend less money. So I don't feel like I'm getting tarred with that brush.
And is the governor correct in calling Kay Bailey Hutchison a politician who's pursued pork barrel spending as he's done?
Well, again, you get into the rough and tumble
but you take
campaign.
you do no earmarks, right?
I don't do earmarks. I don't like the system. It's not to say that all earmarks are bad, but I think in its totality, the system does lead to more spending, erodes kind of fiscal responsibility. So I'm not happy with it.
We'll leave it at that, and we'll look forward to your endorsement soon.
And the special election for Senate.
And you're running for Senate.
My wife hasn't told me that. I haven't heard from my children.
I guess that's a no then. Okay.
Well, you never say no. I won't say no if you say you're going to play tight ends for the Cowboys. I don't think it's in the cards. Right. I don't think this is in the cards. But thank you nonetheless for the question.
Thank you very much, Congressman, for your time.